It is February 6th of 2020, and so with that, greetings and happy Thursday to you Minot sports fans. We bring you to the 17th edition of the Minot Sports Podcast, proudly supported and sponsored by MSU TV and Radio and Joshua Strong Photography. So in case you missed it, yesterday the 5th was National Signing Day, where college football programs all over the country gather around and make every one of their signings and recruitments official on that very day. Your MSU Beavers followed suit as well, and they were very active yesterday. Notice from the introduction that I said we. Joining me now is one of the few members that made National Signing Day possible for your Beavers, is football recruiting coordinator Shane LaDage. Did I pronounce it correct?
LaDage, you're close enough.
LaDage, all right. Sorry about that, but Shane, how are you feeling right now yourself?
Good, tired, ready to re-energize a little bit, but excited about the 24 kids we had in our program, and even more excited about the kids in our program now. So excited to kind of finish up our class with a few more guys here over the next couple weeks and then move on to spring ball.
Awesome. And I was just going to ask you about, just to remind the audience, how many players you got and about the spring game too. So that is good to take note of. So overall, how do you guys feel about, as a team, about this recruiting class and with the entire process? Like, confident for next year as far as growth goes?
Yeah, definitely. I think first off, we bring back a number of good players in our program that were young already. But yeah, I think we addressed a lot of needs, particularly up front on offense, bringing in a number of O-linemen in this year's class. Still looking for one or two more. And then I think we addressed a need at receiver with adding 5 guys so far, still a couple more out there that we had up this last weekend that we're giving some time to, but that was a huge need for us as well.
Sweet. So Shane, I know that it took a lot of knowledge and convincing, the target players that you were trying to reach, from the other coaches, but are you able to explain kind of what your own blueprint is when trying to reach out to certain players from wherever it may be without giving up valuable secrets, or do you just follow the same guidelines as what the other coaches do?
I think we try to do things the same way here. It all kind of starts about this time a year ago for this class. We typically all go through our certain area that we recruit. And the beautiful thing now is with Huddle and all the online video, we kind of go through each school we have, find the kids that are for the next year's class, watch their tape, evaluate it, and then the beautiful thing of social media is you can find about every kid online too and reach out to them that way. And then you're following up with their high school coaches and getting all their information from them too. They're a huge part of the process. We try to be straightforward with it and go through the high school coaches to develop those relationships, because they're obviously around those kids a lot, and they know what type of players they are, what type of teammates, leaders. And then it comes down to building relationships. You could try to sell a million things about, Minot or wherever you're at, but at the end of the day, it's about having a relationship with the kid, with his family, with his coaches, whoever the decision makers are in his life, grandparents, aunt, uncles, whoever that may be. It's about developing trust on both ends. And then honestly, it's just about selling Minot. It is what it is. We don't try to sell something that we're not or make it seem better than it is. I mean, it's either for you or it's not. If we try to make something up about this place and then they get here, they're here for 6 months and then they're out the door because it's not what we told them it was.
You mentioned, the social media aspect and talking with the coaches, the high school coaches and the families. When it comes to reaching out to these players, it's easy to have a phone call, text message, or email or anything of that nature. But remind me, do you also travel to certain high school games, out of state and scout for certain players? Like, do you play a role for the scouting team?
Yeah, all of us do. I mean, we all have a certain area, so we're all out. And I know during the season it can sometimes be a little bit more difficult just with travel, but we're really fortunate. I was able to go to Colorado during the middle of the season, go on a Thursday, come back Friday, play a game Saturday. Coach Nissen was able to do the same down in Arizona. So that's a lot of credit to our administration for allowing us to do that. That's not easy to do or inexpensive to do. But, yeah, that's been crucial for us the last couple of years. You saw it last year. Corey Kerrigan came in, started for us as a true freshman. He's somebody I went out and saw during the season. In this year's class, you're going to see Justin Cash, our punter that we brought in that we hope can follow in the footsteps of Aaron LaDage and Jose Luis Moreno. I was able to go see him play live, so that's been huge. But we all go out, whether it's when we go play in Minnesota, Coach Edholm, Coach Anderson getting out to games, whether it's been here locally, any of our, Coach Nissa and I recruit the state of North Dakota too, getting out, Coach Aldrich getting obviously to games in the area, whether it's getting over to Montana to watch some kids play. We're all playing a role in this. It's not just me. I mean, it's a total we operation. Say it takes a village to do this, so it's not just one of us, it's all of us together.
Awesome. So can you explain, what you do, or how do you get, say it's just you with another player, how do you get that recruitment process started for certain players? So, you're scouting at a game and you see that player that you like, that you think will help out the team a lot, and that player doesn't know you or knows you're coming, or even if they do know you're coming, how do you engage, the beginning stages of recruiting said player? How do you get in contact with them and without giving up important secrets?
That's probably going to start typically then with the high school coach the next day, right away, trying to get contact info, again, using social media. Google's a beautiful thing too, but trying to find any means to get in front of the kid, again, whether it's high school coach giving us contact info or whether really it's getting on Twitter and finding them, following them, beginning those conversations, as kids say, dropping in their DMs, right? And just
Yep.
Getting to know them a little bit that way, and then getting more information from them and telling them about us, giving them a story about us and who we are, and then trying to find commonalities between each other, and then ultimately just seeing if we feel like we're a good fit for each other. And then it comes to, now we got to get them on campus, and then we got to get them around everybody here and get them around our players. The number one thing with us bringing kids on campus for visits is getting them around our team. It's not about necessarily showing them all campus or the city of Minot or talking X's and O's and things like that. It's about being around our team, because at the end of the day, that's going to be who they spend the majority of their time with. So they have a good experience with that. Ultimately, hope then we can get them here, and they have a great experience for the next 4 to 5 years.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because it helps to get used to the city. So what's an impression that you want to leave on any player that you guys have interest in? If you won't be seeing them again for a while, how do you explain that part?
I think at the end of the day, we want them to leave here feeling like we're a family. And a big portion of that is how we are with each other as coaches to coaches, how we treat our players, how our players treat us. And then ultimately, if we have some of us have wives and kids and fiancés, we have them around as much as possible too. Because at the end of the day, I hope, for me in my position group, those guys are going to spend time at my house. They're going to be around my wife. They're going to be around my daughter. So we try to get them involved as much as possible too. We want the parents to see that we're not just a football coach, that we have lives outside of our work world, and we want them to understand that we hope to develop their sons into being good fathers, good teammates, good members of the community, good husbands, all those things as well.
Yeah, not just football, but focusing on life as well. So That's good stuff. When it comes to in-state or out-of-state, I think you kind of already touched on this earlier. Do you recruit heavily on one end, or do you try to recruit both in and out-of-state? Because I know for in-state, the target players, they won't have much to travel as far as distance goes to get to Minot and possibly, get a campus tour and such. Plus, a majority of local kids, they do often stay home or they stay within state borders for college. I'm curious about the geography aspect.
Yeah, obviously we want to win in our own backyard. So any kid that we feel like can play for us and help us that's in the immediate area in the state of North Dakota, we want those kids to be here. Now, we're also battling NDSU, UND. We're battling with Mary, any other of the NAIs in the state. There's a lot of schools recruiting this area, and probably one of the least populated states in the country. But yes, we'll start here and then we branch out. Obviously, we want to win in Minnesota. Again, battling a lot of schools in our league, which we've done a pretty good job, though, the last few years. We want to win in Montana. We like to go north of the border in Canada. Typically, those kids you'll see later on in the process. Their time frame's a little different with test scores and GPAs and things like that. And then from there, we want to branch out to South Dakota as well. And then it really becomes, where can we get direct flights to? So for us, that could be Nevada to Vegas, flies direct here, Phoenix flies direct here, and then Denver flies direct here. So those are 3 other areas that obviously if you see through our recruiting class, specifically in Arizona and Colorado, that we spend a lot of time in. And partly Colorado, that's where I'm from. That's where Coach Aldrich's wife is from. So she has a heavy say in making sure we get out there. And then Coach Nissen's just done a phenomenal job kind of being the lead recruiter in Arizona for us the last few years.
Awesome. So many important, air travel, just straight to certain places. So I checked your Twitter bio, and it says you're also the wide receiver coach. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So do you have like a select number of positions you try to recruit from, or are you able to try all positions since you're the recruiting coordinator?
Yeah, we all recruit all positions. It doesn't really matter what position we coach. We all have a select area geographically that we recruit from. Now it's ultimately the position coach's job to make sure that they're going through and evaluating their position, making sure we're getting the right number of guys in. But we're all evaluating everything. But say I find an O-lineman that I like in my area, it's my job to evaluate them and then pass it on to our O-line coach, Coach Nissen. He's going to have the final say along with Coach Aldrich on if this is a kid we like, we want to continue to pursue. And the same thing vice versa. If Coach Edom has a receiver from Minnesota he likes, he's going to evaluate him, send him to me. It's my job then to say yay or nay, pass it on to Coach A, get his feedback on it, and then we kind of all operate the same way. So everybody recruits every position. At the end of the day, though, it's the position coach's final say on if they like them, where to rank them on our board, and then ultimately Coach Aldrich, is the final say on everybody.
Awesome. So group effort just confirmed by the head coach already. So when you are recruiting, what do you guys look for in a player? Like, what is your ideal, I'm not sure if I can really say perfect player, but what is like your perfect description for a player coming to the Beavers football program?
Well, I think first off, you want a kid of high character, a kid that, as Coach A kind of mentions, when kids come on campus, everything they do is their grandmother going to be proud of them. That's kind of ultimately where we start. Then obviously every position has a different height or weight, kind of ballpark range that we want. We look for kids that are leaders. You want kids that are captains of their teams, that are leaders in the community. I think winning is something that gets overlooked at some places. And now, is every kid on your team going to be a state champion or won a bunch of games? No. But you're looking for kids that come from winning programs because you want high achievers. You want people that are used to success. You want people that are pushing for excellence and not okay with just being mediocre. Academics plays a huge role. Now, not every kid's a 4.0 and a high test score, but you're looking for kids that excel in the classroom, and you're looking for kids that do as well as they can. So if you're a 2.8 GPA kid, you better be a 2.8 GPA kid. We don't want a kid that is capable of a 4.0, but they're sitting at a 2.0 because they don't work really hard. So at the end of the day, you're looking for kids that fit in this type of culture. You're looking for kids that achieve academically. Obviously, they need to be successful on the football field. And a lot of times you're looking for development. Maybe they're not exactly what you're looking for right now, but maybe they're a 230-pound lineman, but they're 6'5", and you think in 3 years you can get them up to 300 and develop them. You gotta be able to forecast ahead and project kids quite a bit, especially the lower the levels you go from D1 down. Projecting is a huge part of what we do, and you take a chance on a kid every once in a while with that, but we've been pretty fortunate here over the last couple of years. We've projected, and a lot of those kids have turned out really well for us.
That is great to hear. So important characteristics and just projections as well. So I don't want to play favorites, nor is it my intention, but you kind of already touched on, the positions. Remind me again, what position was of the utmost importance for you guys?
In this year's class, it was definitely, I think, offensive line. We lost a couple really good players that graduated. We have, I believe, 9 in the program right now, but we wanted to get, in that 20-plus range at the end of this of offensive linemen, so that was a huge need for us. I think we signed 3 last year, so we've more than tripled our amount of signees. And then again, I think at the receiver position, we needed to add some talent, losing, in my opinion, 2 of the better players that have ever played in our program, Levante Bushnell and Lane Torgerson. And we're really young. We have 10 kids returning in that group, and we only have 3 guys that have ever caught a pass in a college football game. So we needed to bring in a lot of talent to challenge who we have in the program now and continue to push those guys to develop. And then we needed some guys that, quite frankly, could probably come in and help us right away. Now, are all of them? No, but there's got to be a few in that group that can challenge for playing time in the fall.
Alrighty, so a lot of youth on the team indeed. So moving over to signing day yesterday, when you were working in the war room, when did the momentum kind of start to pick up? Like, when was it that every member of the recruiting process had something to do or even had a phone on their hand or what have you? Like, when did the process reach its peak?
Well, every kid is not allowed to sign until 7:01 a.m. their local time. So we had two kids that were in Eastern time zone. So we got 2 calls at right about 6:01 a.m. Most of our staff was in by about 5:30 and getting everything solidified. So kind of when everybody just kind of hunkered down, we got a couple phone calls right away with paperwork coming in that we were able to get approval on. And then you got to wait a little bit. And then once we hit the central time zone, which is a good chunk of our kids we brought in, we hit that another high at about 7:05 a.m. with passing the phones around. And then you got out to the mountain time zone, and you got a lot of the Colorado and Arizona kids, and then we had a few more West Coast kids. So it kind of goes in ebbs and flows. But that central time zone and then that mountain time zone, we were really hustling and bustling. The guys were running around. It keeps Coach A really busy because he wants to talk to every single kid. So the phone kind of goes from coach to coach to coach to coach. And then I was busy trying to pump out graphics. And then Josh and our SID was busy putting up the videos with them. So it kind of everybody plays a role. We had coaches hanging up their pictures on the wall. We kind of display everybody as they came in. We had a bunch of people from our athletic department up there taking pictures and videos. So it really is a group effort. Everybody played a role. And overall, it's just a really exciting day.
Awesome. So the kind of that domino effect with the time zones and such. Just a question about the current players. Did they try helping you guys during this process?
Oh, definitely. We asked them, every kid we bring on campus has a host for the night. So they take them out, whether we have basketball on campus, maybe it's wrestling, maybe they take them over to a hockey game, whatever's going on in town, and then typically they take them around our players for the night, so back to the dorms or somebody's house or apartment. Our goal is that first night we get a kid on campus for a visit is to just get them around our players and get them on campus and show them around everywhere. So and then we do a player panel in the morning of our visits. That's about an hour, and we bring a number of our players in, and the coaches leave. It's an opportunity for the recruits and their families to ask them whatever they want without us around, and they get an hour to shoot them straight. So yeah, our players play a big role. There's certain rules of things they can and can't do, but when we have them here, they're definitely a huge part. And then honestly, we have a lot of kids that are already in our program that are from the same high school as the kids we've signed this year. So you're already getting that feedback positively anyways without us needing to do anything. So for instance, yesterday we signed 2 kids from Thunder Ridge High School in Colorado. Well, we have 2 kids on our roster right now from Thunder Ridge. So there's immediate feedback going back to them, long before I even talked to these kids of those guys having a positive experience here. Their coach knows that. Now these kids, they're excited about Minot State, so it becomes a little bit easier to recruit them.
So again, good to have that familiarity.
Yep.
You already touched on the spring game. So Shane, before we go, just a quick question. Who are you going for in the Super Bowl?
I was going for the Niners. I was a little disappointed how that turned out. I'm a Broncos fan, so I don't cheer for the Chiefs.
Same here.
And I grew up a Mike Shanahan fan of the Broncos, so I've gotten to actually know Kyle Shanahan a little bit over the years, so was definitely pulling for Kyle. The receivers coach, he's actually a guy that I just passed up working with at St. Joseph's College. He was the offensive coordinator the year before I got there. Matt LaFleur, or Mike LaFleur, his brother Matt's the head coach for the Packers. So there's a little bit of familiarity with some guys on the staff at San Francisco too. And I coached a tight end at Wyoming that was on the practice squad this year for him in training camp. So that's who I was pulling for. I'll never pull for the Chiefs ever in the history of football.
I hear you.
But I'm a tight end, so it was fun watching, in my opinion, the two best tight ends in the NFL playing against each other.
Yep, so the more you know. So that was Shane LaDage?
Yep, there you go.
Okay. The MSU Football Recruiting Coordinator joining us for episode 17. Once again, the Minot Sports Podcast is brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio and Joshua Strong Photography. Shane, I just want to thank you very much for coming along today. Much appreciated. And we will take great interest for the upcoming football season this fall.
Appreciate it. Roll Beavs.
Heck yeah, roll Beavs. So thanks to Shane LaDage from MSU Football. And so Minot sports fans, go out and support Minot State football this upcoming fall. You will not want to miss it. Hope to see you Minot High fans tonight at the Midget Slayer for girls basketball versus Bismarck St. Mary's. That is set to tip off at 7:30. That is it for this one. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Thank you once again, Mr. LaDage. And as always, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, and take care.